Hello, Mrs. Johnston here, and it is Knowledge, Science, and Social Studies time. We are on Unit 8, Seasons and Weather, and on our last lesson called Meteorology. Remember, we have been hearing from our pen pal Annie. She has written you many letters about all 4 seasons. In our last read aloud, Annie shared information about how to be safe during thunderstorms. Today, you will hear the last letter from Annie about seasons and weather. Discuss how you have enjoyed learning about weather from Annie. What has been the best thing? For Mrs. Johnston, I think my part that I liked the best learning from Annie is hearing about weather in a different state, far from where we live. Today's letter, Annie is going to discuss the study of weather and predicting or figuring out what the weather will be like before it happens. The words meteorology or meteorologist deal with weather and predicting weather. Meteorology is the study of weather and weather prediction. And a meteorologist is a person who studies weather and predicts what the weather will be like before it happens. Why do you think it is important in being able to predict the weather the day or week before it happens? So that you can plan ahead, know what it will be like if you have a special sports game that's going to happen, or whether you need to buy more food and stay inside if it's going to storm. So, I am going to ask you a couple of questions. Thumbs up if the answer to my question is yes. Thumbs down if the answer to my question is no. Meteorology is the study of plants. Did you give me a thumbs down? Meteorology is the study of weather. Meteorologists study and predict the weather. Did you show me thumbs up? That is correct. Meteorologists study and predict the weather. Knowing the weather predictions can help us plan our activities for the day. That too was thumbs up. Did you get all of my answers correct? Maybe 2 or 1? Listen to today's story for the different types of people who depend on meteorologists to predict the weather. Dear kindergartners, this is my last letter to you about seasons and weather. Today we will learn how to know what kind of weather is on its way. Have you ever watched the Weatherman or Weatherwoman on the news? Sometimes people blame the weatherman for bad weather, especially when their plans are spoiled by rain. Here, spoiled means ruined, but the weatherman does not control the weather. He just tries to predict or make his best guess at what the weather is going to be like later in the day. tomorrow, or next week. Sometimes he is right, and sometimes he is wrong. The study of weather and making weather predictions is called meteorology, and the person who does this is called a meteorologist. The words weatherman and weatherwoman are sometimes used to describe people who appear on television to tell you about the weather. Maybe you've seen them on the evening news. Often the weatherman or weatherwoman is a meteorologist. What can you describe about what is happening in the picture? Concentrate on what the weather looks like. Did you say things like the weather is nice? The family is outside having a picnic? It may be a little bit cooler because I see that the people are wearing long pants and the guy is wearing a longer type shirt. Predicting weather is important so people will know what to wear that day and whether or not they will need an umbrella because of the rain. Predicting weather also helps people to plan things like picnics or trips to the beach. If my parents are planning a family picnic, for example, they would want to make sure that it's not going to rain on us while we are outside. But picnickers and vacationers are not the only ones who care what the meteorologist has to say. Farmers need to know how much rain to expect. If the meteorologist says it's not going to rain for a while, farmers may need to figure out another way to get water to their plants. In fact, anyone whose job could be affected by the weather needs a meteorologist. Whether the person is a baseball player, a construction worker, a garbage man, an airplane pilot, or an astronaut. One way meteorologists predict what the weather will be like in the future is by studying weather patterns and temperatures from the past. When you watch a weather report, the weather person will tell you what the high or warmest temperature and the low or coldest temperature will be for that day. High temperatures usually come during the daytime, and low temperatures are usually at night. However, the weather person can also tell you if the temperatures on a particular day are normal for that time of year by checking the weather record or written report. The weather record is kind of like a weather diary. It lists what the weather was like on the day in previous years. Here, the word record means a written report of an event. Aside from looking at the weather records, what else do meteorologists use to predict the weather? How do they know what is going to happen? In fact, predicting the weather is quite complicated. And even with all the amazing computers and equipment we have nowadays, the weather person is still sometimes wrong. However, meteorologist predictions are also correct a lot of the time. This is thanks in part to satellites, or objects designed to go around Earth in space and collect information like the one in the picture. Satellites are objects launched into space that contain cameras, radios, and antennas, but no people. Once in space, The satellites travel around the Earth. The satellite cameras take pictures and beam them down to meteorologists using photos. Meteorologists can see storms as they develop and predict whether the skies will be clear or cloudy. Of course, you don't always need a meteorologist to tell you what the weather is going to be like, especially if dark clouds like this roll over your town. These dark clouds are types of cumulus clouds and often develop into thunderstorms. You can also find cumulus clouds during nice weather, whether they appear white and fluffy like a cotton ball. These are cirrus clouds. They are thin and wispy clouds that float way up high in the sky. Usually, cirrus clouds mean the weather is going to be clear and pleasant. Stratus clouds are the third type of cloud, and they float fairly low to the ground. These flat clouds can stretch across the entire sky. They sometimes drop light rain or drizzle. The most important part of a meteorologist's job is to help save lives by warning people or telling people in advance when severe weather is on the way. Look at this picture. It was taken when a hurricane was heading towards land. A hurricane is a huge storm that forms out over the ocean. The meteorologist in this picture is studying images of a hurricane just as it is about to strike land. The image was made by a computer that is able, thanks to satellites, airplanes, and other tools, to determine how fast the wind is moving, how much it is raining, and in which direction the storm is moving. Thanks to computers and satellites, the meteorologists saw the hurricane days before it came anywhere near land. So they warned people to leave their homes and head to safer ground if necessary. A lot of people were kept safe from this severe weather because of the meteorologists. Meteorologists help people stay prepared for and safe during whatever challenges the weather may throw their way. Even though you can predict what the weather should be like during any given season where you live, it is difficult to always predict from day to day exactly what the weather will really be like. So it is a good idea to listen to your local weatherman or weatherwoman so you will know to carry an umbrella that day or to bring along extra sunscreen. That way, you'll always be prepared. Thank you so much for helping me with my weather project. From now on, I hope you'll keep an eye to the sky and always pay attention to the weather in your neighborhood. Your friend, Annie. What does a meteorologist do? A meteorologist studies and predicts the weather. Name some types of people who depend on meteorologists. Some types of people who depend on meteorologists are farmers, baseball players, and other people who work outside. If a meteorologist on the morning news shows or says it is going to rain today, how will that prediction affect your plans for the day? Did you say rain will affect the plans to spend time outdoors? For example, what will you wear? People will wear a raincoat, rain boots, and a hat when it is raining. Describe how a weather satellite works. The satellite camera takes pictures of the weather on Earth. Then the satellite beams the pictures down to Earth. What is one way you can tell what the weather will be like without listening to the meteorologist? You can tell what the weather will be like by looking at the clouds. The author said that predicting the weather is important. Why are some examples the author gave for why it is important? Did you remember it's important for the farmer to know if he will need to water his crops? The construction worker needs to know if it's going to rain and cancel his job for that day, or if it's going to be nice, his he can continue to work. Think about going on a family picnic. If it's going to rain, the picnic would be canceled. If it's going to be sunny and warm, you can still go on your picnic. Why is predicting the weather important in your life? Mrs. Johnston knows that being an adult and predicting the weather is important for my life to keep my family safe. If we're going to have severe weather, I'm going to keep my family inside. But if it's nice, I might plan a trip to the beach and a picnic or playing a game outside. I hope that you enjoyed our last lesson in this unit on seasons and weather.